When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow we gave our today.
The entire nation is reeling as decades-long silence is finally broken by a man. Princess Anne's husband, Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Laurence, has broken a silence. In shocking private remarks, he has delivered a blistering assessment of the current state of the monarchy, targeting its most controversial figures and revealing a palace in deep crisis. What hidden frustrations has this former naval commander finally unleashed? And what do his revelations mean for the future of the crown? Join us as we unravel what the king's own brother-in-law has finally said and why the nation is hanging on his every word. The perfect royal partner. For over 30 years, he had been the steadfast, silent shadow, also known to be the hardest-working royal, a man defined by his discretion and duty. To understand the great impact that Sir Timothy Laurence's words have on the nation, one must first understand the man and the unique role he has played for over 3 decades. His life's history has been earned out of a quiet, worthy distinction, and not through any birthrights. Timothy Laurence was born in 1995, and he attended the Britannia Royal Naval College. This helped him to embark on a career that would see him rise to the rank of Vice Admiral. This is a title that speaks of discipline, command, and service, not inheritance. He crossed paths with Princess Anne while he was serving as an equerry to Queen Elizabeth II, the then Queen of England, who died in 2022. Their connection, which began with discretion and depth, led to a quiet marriage in December 1992, following the breakdown of Anne's first marriage to Philip's Mark. This was not by any chance a wedding for public consumption. It was a private ceremony in Scotland, reflecting the couple's shared desire for a life defined by substance over spectacle and the crowd. Even though Anne already had 2 children before her divorce, this desire became the defining principle of the next 32 years. Sir Timothy never adopted a royal title. He did not seek a prominent, flashy role within the firm. Instead, he perfected the art of being the unwavering support, attending hundreds of engagements yearly, managing the complexities of his wife's immense schedule, and providing a pillar of stability to her royal status. He stood as a perfect partner to Princess Anne. He was a calm and a reserved anchor, husband, for the monarchy's most relentlessly active member, his wife. His value to the institution was his silence, his impeccable discretion, and his unwavering sense of duty. This very history is what makes his decision to now voice a sharp critique so profoundly enormous. A man who has built his life on silence chooses to speak, and the world is forced to listen. But what does he have to say, and why has he chosen to speak up now, after many years? The first crack in the foundation. For 3 decades, through numerous royal scandals and public upheavals here and there, Sir Timothy Laurence has maintained his composure. His recent reported remarks, therefore, are not a reaction to a single event, but the result of a perfect, piled-up, and unsustainable storm of pressures that threaten to overwhelm the monarchy's very foundation. The first and most immediate pressure is the grave health crisis within the royal family. The simultaneous cancer diagnoses of both King Charles III and the Princess of Wales have created an unprecedented vacuum at the top of the royal family. Their necessary absences from public life have forced a drastic and punishing reallocation of royal duties. The burden has fallen disproportionately on the remaining, already overstretched, working royals: Queen Camilla, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, and, most significantly, Princess Anne, Sir Timothy's wife. Princess Anne, now 75, has long been the monarchy's undisputed hardest worker. In 2023, she conducted a staggering 457 official engagements. In the first months of 2024, following the news of the king's diagnosis, her pace has intensified to a potentially dangerous level. She has become the primary public face of the monarchy, a role that demands constant travel, intense public appearances, and profound emotional labor. Her credo is, "Keep me busy. I'm here to work. I'm here to do good things. I'm here to meet as many people as possible." The second persistent pressure is the ongoing saga of the Sussexes, the commercial endeavors of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, their Netflix documentary, Harry's memoir Spare, and their various public statements continue to generate a global media frenzy that often overshadows the quiet, dutiful work of the remaining royals. For a traditionalist like Sir Timothy, a man whose life has been governed by the ethics of service and silence, this monetization of private grievance is seen as a major betrayal of the institution's core values. The sage of the Sussexes made the ongoing process of the royal family trivial, and no further attention was paid to those working behind the screen. It is the collision of these two realities, the immense internal pressure on his wife and the external noise he perceives as a damaging distraction, that finally compelled him to speak. According to a detailed report in the Daily Telegraph, a newspaper with deep and established royal connections, Sir Timothy has expressed his acute frustrations in private conversations with associates. He reportedly described the ongoing Sussex narrative as a circus of the absurd. Furthermore, he has stated that the current demands on Princess Anne have reached a point where enough is enough. These are not the carefully calibrated words of a palace courtier. They are the blunt, concerned assessments of a husband and a military strategist who sees a system on the brink of failure. It was clear that the burden of work has not only rested, but has fallen beyond control on their shoulders. Will the voice of Sir Timothy be heard or neglected? An assessment of a royal crisis. The specific language Sir Timothy is reported to have used is highly revealing. It is not emotional or hysterical. It is analytical, dismissive, and reflective of his decades of naval training. To call something a circus of the absurd is to declare it illogical, undignified, and utterly unworthy of serious attention. The word circus implies a chaotic, performative spectacle for cheap entertainment, while absurd suggests a situation that is fundamentally unreasonable and divorced from reality. From his strategic viewpoint, this circus likely encompasses the entire Sussex operation, the lucrative media deals that trade on royal status, the public airing of deeply personal family conflicts, and the unending cycle of media speculation these actions generate. It is a direct and damning repudiation of their chosen path. For a man who dedicated his career to the orderly chain of command and the disciplined execution of duty, the Sussexes' approach represents the total antagonist of everything he stands for. It was obvious he was tired and not having it funny anymore. His other key phrase, "Enough is enough," is even more significant. This is not merely an observation. It is a declaration of intent. It is the language of a man drawing a definite line in the sand. It signals that the current situation, that is, where his wife is being asked to carry the entire institution on her shoulders while others actively contribute to its destabilization, is no longer acceptable. It is a quiet, yet potent, demand for change, uttered not in a formal palace meeting room, but in private, indicating that formal channels may feel ineffective or closed to him. This is dissent from within the ranks, and it's perhaps the most powerful kind. History offers sobering precedents. During the final years of Queen Victoria's reign, when her prolonged mourning left her withdrawn from public life, the monarchy was criticized for seeming distant and absent. Similarly, when King George VI struggled with ill health in the early 1950s, Princess Elizabeth was forced to take on an exhausting array of duties, stretching the system to breaking point. What Sir Timothy has highlighted is not a new problem but a faulty line that has occurred over and over. When the crown falters, the system depends on a handful of individuals willing to sacrifice endlessly. Nevertheless, realizing that Princess Anne herself loves to do these things. According to what she calls her credo to be and what responsibilities she takes on, adequate measures are still needed. But the pain is how everyone else has taken it, with mere hands, and has refused to put in the necessary actions. If only supports were, at least, rendered, things might have been better than it is currently. What effect does this voice out have on Princess Anne's position and her responsibilities? Defending the crown's greatest asset. At its heart, Sir Timothy's reported outburst is not about high politics or palace strategy. With the actions he has portrayed towards the royal status, it is clear it is about something far more personal. It is protection. The couple have long portrayed their relationship as a powerful partnership built on mutual respect and deep devotion for one another. Sir Timothy is actively involved in managing Princess Anne's complex life, from her grueling schedule to her security and overall well-being. He has watched as her workload has escalated from demanding to potentially hazardous, especially on her health and mental well-being. His concern is likely not just for her physical stamina, but for the immense psychological toll of being the monarchy's primary wall during its most vulnerable period in decades. His comments, therefore, serve as a dual purpose, and if not more. First, they are a necessary release valve for his own pent-up frustration. Second, and more importantly, they are a calculated signal to the entire palace establishment. By allowing these stark sentiments to reach the press, he is sounding an alarm that cannot be ignored. He is highlighting a critical vulnerability in the king's slimmed-down monarchy model. It lacks resilience and depth. There is no backup. When a crisis hits, the system relies on grinding down its most loyal and valuable assets. Sir Timothy is effectively standing guard, declaring that he will not allow his wife to be consumed by the poor planning of the institution she has served so faithfully her entire life. Not on his watch. When Sir Timothy's comments surfaced, the public response was telling. Older generations, shaped by Elizabeth II's stoicism, interpreted his words as the voice of tradition crying out for preservation. Younger generations admired his loyalty to Anne. Now the question is no longer only about scandal or spectacle, it is about sustainability. Can the monarchy survive if it grinds down its most dedicated servants? Can it modernize without betraying the very ethic that gives it legitimacy? Inside the palace, the reckoning. The reporting of Sir Timothy's comments would not have been dismissed as mere gossip. He is not a marginal figure. He is a respected insider, a man known for his integrity, discretion, and unwavering loyalty to the late Queen and the institution itself. His critique, therefore, carries a credibility and weight that anonymous sources simply lack. The palace reaction is likely one of sober, serious acknowledgement. His frustrations undoubtedly echo the private sentiments of other senior courtiers and family members who are struggling to manage the same operational crisis. It forces the king's private secretary and his entire team to confront a painful reality. The dedication of steadfast servants like Princess Anne cannot be taken for granted indefinitely. This is not a challenge to the king's authority, but a stark warning from a trusted ally. It adds immense internal pressure to find immediate and long-term solutions, whether that means formally bringing other supportive family members, like the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, into a more active role. It could also be to accelerate plans for the children of the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh to take on patronages. Sir Timothy has, in effect, held up a mirror to the institution, and the reflection is one of overwork, strategic vulnerability, and a pressing need for change. The palace machine is an intricate bureaucracy. At its center is the king's private secretary, effectively the monarch's chief of staff. He must balance the schedules, appearances, and public image of the royal family while preserving the monarchy's mystique. This is a whole lot on every hard worker in the palace. When a figure as trusted as Sir Timothy sends out a warning, it moves through this bureaucracy like a wave. Meetings would be convened, memos circulated, and urgent questions raised. How sustainable is the current system? How long can Anne, at 75, keep a nation nods in agreement? When the reports of Sir Timothy's comments surfaced, the British public's response was not one of surprise. It was an overwhelming and vocal agreement. On social media platforms and in the comment sections of major newspapers, a clear and resonant consensus emerged. Sir Timothy was simply saying what the nation had been thinking for years. Beyond that, he has said the obvious and boldly highlighted what everyone seemed to overlook. There is a palpable public fatigue with what is often perceived as a self-serving narrative from abroad, especially when contrasted with the quiet, relentless duty of the Princess Royal. The public deeply admires her work ethic and shares Sir Timothy's clear concern that she is being dangerously overworked. His comments resonated because they were seen not as a complaint, but as a legitimate and long overdue defense of a much-admired public figure. He articulated a public sentiment that the monarchy's true value lies in its work, not its drama, and that those who do the work deserve to be protected. Everyone generally agreed that for Sir Timothy to have spoken up, it means it has gotten to the height of it. However, questions were raised, words were agreed to, and every other thing was said. After this issue was raised, but the most pressing issue was, who else will step up to share the load? The fragility of the royal standard. Perhaps the most haunting implication of Sir Timothy's critique is the revelation of fragility, because over the years it has been seen by everyone that the monarchy was a place with adequate standards. To outsiders, the monarchy often looks eternal. The palaces, crowns, rituals, and centuries of tradition and every activity displayed has strengthened the move of the royalty. Yet from inside, as Timothy has revealed, the system is delicate, dependent on a handful of aging figures, stretched thin by global scrutiny. His remarks are not a prophecy of collapse, but a warning flare. The institutions fall not from single scandals, but from cumulative exhaustion. A monarchy that fails to protect its own most loyal members risks not only burnout, but eventual irrelevance. It is now obvious that the facade has been removed and the operations of the monarchy that look efficient are only bounded by weak links. However, this is not because the person running it is incapable, but because more support is needed. The system's vulnerability is now glaring, and this has opened the eyes of many to realize the tireless efforts put in place to ensure there are no loopholes. Even the late Queen Elizabeth II, who embodied endurance, understood this fragility. She carefully balanced visibility and mystery, never allowing the public to feel the crown was absent. How do these people manage to take on these burdens on themselves without voicing out its discomfort? What does the future look like? Every discussion of the monarchy's current crisis inevitably circles back to one central figure, Sir Timothy's wife, Princess Anne. She is the nation's tireless engine, the one royal who is never tired, never hesitates, never breaks, never seeks applause. But what happens when that engine slows, or worse, stops altogether? Sir Timothy's remarks force us to confront this uncomfortable but inevitable question. At 75, Anne continues to defy age with her remarkable stamina. But she is not immortal. She is human too. The monarchy's survival strategy cannot be built indefinitely upon one person's shoulders. This is one of the reasons why Sir Timothy's outburst should be seen on a positive side. Her passing, or even her gradual withdrawal from duties, would leave an enormous void, one far larger than the palace appears prepared to handle. The monarchy would lose not just a worker, but a symbol of credibility, discipline, and tradition that resonates deeply with the public. Consider the scale of her contribution. In 2023 alone, she carried out more engagements than any other royal, often moving around the country in a single day. For many communities, especially rural ones, she is the only royal presence Take Anne out of the equation, and thousands of engagements vanish. Patronages lose their most active royal supporter. Charities that depend on the royal spotlight would be left in the dark. This is not a gap easily filled. Who realistically could step in? Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, already carry significant workloads but lack Anne's relentless pace. The Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, though dutiful, are elderly themselves and rarely in the headlines. The younger generation, William and Catherine's children, Lady Louise Windsor, James, Earl of Wessex, are still years away from public roles. The gap between Anne's eventual absence and their readiness may be a chasm. This looming reality highlights the fragility of King Charles's slimmed-down monarchy. It works so long as Anne continues to serve at full speed. Without her, the model collapses into an overburdened skeleton crew. Sir Timothy's warning is not only about her present exhaustion, but about the monarchy's lack of future planning. An institution that prides itself on continuity seems paradoxically unprepared for the loss of its most consistent worker. Public opinion would also take a hit. Anne enjoys rare respect across the political spectrum and across generations. She is seen as no-nonsense, grounded, and deeply dutiful, and always loyal to her work and ethics in the public. If she were to step back, the public may look at the remaining royals and wonder, where is that same dedication? Where is that same credibility? Without Anne, the monarchy risks appearing softer, less resilient, and less deserving of the deference it has long commanded. In this sense, Sir Timothy's critique is a call to urgency. The palace must prepare now, not later, for the future without Anne. That means training younger royals, widening the circle of active family members, and perhaps rethinking the entire slimmed-down model before it unravels completely. For the monarchy to survive, it cannot simply lean on its hardest worker until she collapses. It must build resilience beyond her. Sir Timothy's voice is not just the voice of a husband defending his wife. It is the voice of foresight, asking the question the nation dares not. What happens when Princess Anne is gone? The permanent line in the sand. The long-term implications of Sir Timothy Lawrence's decision to break his silence are profound and will likely shape the monarchy's strategy for years to come. If not now, but for the sake of every other royals and those coming up, something must be done. Firstly, it draws a permanent public line in the sand between two opposing models of modern royalty. On one side is the model embodied by Sir Timothy and Princess Anne: duty, discretion, self-effacement, and unwavering service. On the other is the model of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle: commercial independence, public confession, and relentless media engagement. His circus remark is the most succinct and devastatingly accurate critique of the latter model to ever come from within the inner sanctum. Secondly, it signals a potential shift in internal dynamics. The unwavering silence of the so-called supporting players can no longer be assumed. If a figure as steadfast and reserved as Sir Timothy is willing to voice such a sharp critique, it indicates that the pressure within the institution is reaching a critical level. It may empower other senior aides and family members to be more vocal in advocating for change and a sustainable future for the monarchy. In addition, it underscores the most critical challenge facing King Charles III. His vision for a modern monarchy is being stress-tested in the most brutal way possible. As if that wasn't enough, it is being found wanting and lacking. The quiet critique from his own brother-in-law is a powerful message that the current path is not sustainable. The king must now find a way to modernize without breaking the very people who make the institution function. Sir Timothy Laurence has not issued a rebellion. He has issued a necessary warning. And the entire nation is listening. He has spoken not for fame, not for attention, but out of duty. a duty to his wife, and to the institution he has served his entire life. Sir Timothy Lawrence's silence is broken, and in its place is a sobering, undeniable truth. The nation is not reeling from scandal, but from a sudden, obvious recognition of the fragility within the palace walls and the quiet strength of those who hold them up. What do you believe is the solution for the monarchy? Does Sir Timothy's critique signal a need for major change? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.